opinions expressed in the following program are the sole responsibility of the host and its guests, and not the responsibility of the advertisers, Lee Bentley Broadcasting, or KBAR Radio. Thomas Paine. Sam Adams. Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Oh, good morning. And this quote this morning is from a dear friend of ours that's been on our program, and we correspond back and forth. And that's Daryl Dickinson Cattle Company back in Indiana, as a matter of fact, and Ohio. His quote is this, and pay attention to it. Never eat any food or use any drugs coming from countries that eat rats, dogs, cats, snakes, and bats. The USA should produce all of its own food, not trusting imports from any other nasty country. We are learning a drastic lesson right now. Amen. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America, followed by a patriot to call in with our Pledge of Allegiance. Call in. Good morning. Good morning to you, Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell, and with, of course, our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. They are open and serving you. Safe, clean environment, and the best in tires at all locations. Be sure and stop in and see them today, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And, of course, don't forget Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you, and Greystone Crossing Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Heyburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wheels, we need you to turn the feed line up to me just a little bit, please. Evidently that got moved or whatever. If you could, I don't want to miss any of your great tone over there. Thank you very much. Time for the weather, and the weather brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 West of Heyburn on the Burley-Paul Highway. Roger and the crew are already there. They get there early in the morning to better serve all their customers with the best of tools and equipment that you need for any kind of a job. A lot of folks are out there working on the garden or working on the lawn or doing some exterior cleanup around the house and around the property. They've got all the power rakes, all the garden and lawn equipment, rototillers. It's all there at K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 West of Heyburn. Right now, here's Gino with the weather.
Enjoy today because we're going to be cooling off this week. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting nice and sunny skies for today. High of about 80, but tonight clouds are going to be rolling in. We are expecting a low of 52. For tomorrow, 20% chance of showers and thunderstorms by the afternoon. Partly sunny skies, high of 68. Winds are going to be picking up out of the west. Gusts as high as 24 miles an hour. Then by Tuesday night, cloudy, gradually becoming partly cloudy with a low of 43. That's a look at your weather for Zebeth Rain.
Thank you very much, Gina. And again, don't forget K&R Rental. These people really know their business and can help you. I urge you to call if you have questions. 678-3122. K&R Rental on the Burley Paul Highway. Caller, I'll be there in just a moment. Don't forget our friends over to Daryl's Cleaners. And we certainly hope and pray that Kevin is doing much better. And they've got a GoFundMe page on Facebook. And thanks to the Nostalgia Cafe and others for putting together kind of an auction to help him. Boy, I mean, he took a lot of pounding when he hit the ground after falling off the roof. And we certainly hope that he's going to be all right. Don't forget our friends at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley, and they're waiting to serve you. I hope and pray that everything goes well. Want to also mention our dear friends over to Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Good morning, Ramsey's. They get there at 7:30 in the morning, throw open the doors and say, come on in, we're waiting for you with all the cooling and heating and electrical needs, I tell you. And why don't you give them a call if you have any questions at 678-0459. They've been in business almost 7 decades, serving you the best. Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Caller, good morning to you. Thank you.
Morning, Zeb. I had an opportunity while I drive to listen to a lot of old-time radio shows and vintage ads. And in the 40s and 50s, they have a lot of ads on there for praying in the home, praying with your family, and inviting God into your home and into your heart. And it was advertised as a commercial, as a community deal, you know. Anyway, boy, times have sure changed. And even in their radio programs, they talked about the divine intervention of our Heavenly Father and how their lives have changed. But you won't hear that now, and it's a shame. It really, really is.
Well, that's not true. You will hear that now, and you will hear it on this program. I will never back up. I've taken some heat for having various ministers and theologians come on my program and talk. I'm not going to back up. I'm going to continue to do it. So don't say never hear it, because I do it as much as I can.
I didn't mean to insult you, but other than your program, I haven't heard it anywhere else. And this was national broadcast stuff on the NBC in 1953.
Yeah.
I mean, for the times have changed, and I sure hope we can get back to it at some point in time.
No, I totally agree with you, Riley, and you didn't insult me at all. You brought up a very good point. And I, for one, am not going to weaken. We took, and I got to give you this real quick before we go to our other caller. We took a lot of heat when I have different ministers on to come on for, like, the prayer on the World Day of Prayer, or maybe something for Christmas, etc. Let them keep on throwing my name in the oven, because I don't care. I'm not going to change my ways as long as I'm on the air. That is a slam dunk deal, I promise you.
Well, that's a good deal. I agree with you. Get on to your next caller, my friend, and have a good week.
All right, God bless you. Thank you very much. Caller, I'll be right there. I want to remind everybody about Dino Septic Service. Oh, boy. When you talk about service, I mean, we're talking the best in service with Dino Septic Service. Septic tank pumping, backhoe services, water and sewer lines installed, septic inspections, liquid waste removal. Oh, they do the job you and I don't want to do. You call them at 436-6526 or 678-1633. 738. I'm talking fast, fare, friendly service. I know firsthand because they've done work for us. They are good. With a big truck that says, smells cargo on the way to serve you, Dino's Septic Service. You get a hold of them today. Quick note, and this is really important to all the lunch bunchers and everyone else. This Thursday, pay attention to what I'm saying, please. I really need your help, everybody. This Thursday at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Oberlin in Burley, we are going to have at 11:30 to 1 a parking lot picnic. Parking lot picnic. You drive in, you give your order for the special we're going to be announcing tomorrow on the air, and they'll bring you the special. It's going to be a special kind of a picnic menu, and they'll bring it out to your car. We're all going to gather in the parking lot at Denny's. Come on, let's make it a big deal for a restaurant that's really supported us. Now it's time to support them. Denny's Restaurant at 611 North Overland in Burley this Thursday, 11:30 to 1. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Dad. It sounds delicious.
You know what? Just let me say this to you, Keith. I know that you and Nancy and the Lunch Bunchers will turn out, and God bless you. I mean, my Lunch Bunchers have been so supportive, and it is going to be fun. I mean, we're going to go down there. We're going to sit in the parking lot. Everybody's going to be in their cars or their pickups or whatever. We're going to enjoy lunch, and we're just going to show Thomas and Denny's how much we support them.
Well, what I'm going to do is I won a gift certificate for $20 at Denny's, and I'm going to give that back to them because they really need it. And anybody else that's got a gift certificate or something, why not turn it back to them and help them out a little bit?
You know, that's really a nice gesture. And I know that it's not just Denny's, it's a lot of restaurants are really suffering right now. And again, Wheels, I'm going to ask you to boost that up a little bit, please. But Keith, that's a nice gesture. You and Nancy and the Lunch Bunch, I just cannot ever say enough. You people are amazing in what you do to support this program and the people that we're trying to support. God bless you. And by the way, you can go to my website, zebbell.com, and you can find a list of all the sponsors on this program that need and deserve your patronage. Thank you very much.
Now, if I could say what I had in mind is, as if it weren't bad enough to get old, we're being punished. You and I are being punished with this credit scoring system. And what the problem is, I have a 0 score. I can't go charge things, and I don't want to because I haven't used any kind of credit since 2014 when I closed my business.
Mm-hmm.
But the caveat here is that when they give you a poor credit score, it's reflective on your insurance company.
Yeah. You know, we could go on and on about credit scores and everything else, especially for seniors.
What happened in America?
What was that again, Keith?
What was the credit scoring system?
Yeah, I agree. You know what? I'm going to do a special segment on this. I'm so glad you brought this up because credit and seniors and all the problems and pitfalls. I'm going to do a special segment on that. Thank you. I'm taking notes, and I know just the person I'm going to call on this issue, and that's Dr. Michael Bussler. Give me a couple days, and I'll get that set up, Keith. I appreciate it.
Well, I'm glad you are taking notes because there may be a test.
Well, good deal, man. I want to pass your class, I'll tell you that.
Okay. You have a wonderful day.
All right, thank you very much. Caller, I'll be right with you. I appreciate it, and I want to remind everybody about Doug Martin is a good old friend of ours. And when I say the word old, I mean real old. No, I'm kidding. Doug's a lot younger than I am. Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair, 635 21st Street in Heyburn. It is for sale. What? Yes, it's for sale. The shop, all the stuff inside, the whole bit. It's a turnkey operation ready for you. A great great business opportunity. I'm telling you, you better call 878-4991. That number again, 878-4991, or after hours, 431-5282. And Doug will even train the new buyer of the business. You better get a hold of him today. Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair, 635 21st Street in Heyburn, for sale for you. Take care of it. Call today. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Well,
planned this.
You know, I got to be honest with you. I was thinking as I was wrapping up that ad, I thought, I wonder if Doug's the next caller, and thou art.
Thou art.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's happened over like Thursday, Friday, all the news that's been breaking?
What are you talking about, Doug?
About General Flynn and what the Obama administration has done.
Okay. Let me just tell you this. And I don't have to tell you anything on the news because you're and I mean this in all the kindness that it can be, you're a news junkie like I am. You just study it, listen to it, and dissect it. This is going to be, now mark my words, on this May 11th, Monday, 2020, this will be the downfall of the Democrat Party. They are traitors. They have done this to hurt America and only advance themselves and create more of a power play for themselves. They have hurt our future. They've hurt our grandkids' future with their lying and craving for power. Can I sum it up any better than that?
No. And they are for a one-world order. They are for total control. They say what goes. They say what doesn't go. Every American should look at what has happened and what has come out about what happened and be very scared if you like liberty, if you like life the way it is in America, if you like the freedoms to carry an firearm, if you like the freedoms for free speech, you better be scared because this is what the Democrat Party wants to take us.
You know, and here's the thing that really is sinister. When the lawyer for General Michael Flynn looked at the camera, and you know as well as I do, Doug, that when lawyers are on television, they're a little bit evasive about saying anything absolute and definite. And when Maria Bartiromo asked the lawyer for Michael Flynn, does this problem go all the way to the top with Obama's involvement? And she said one word, absolutely.
Exactly. That lady that has taken over General Flynn's case, I have the highest respect for her. She is an honest person. She wants truth and justice to prevail. General Flynn should take his previous lawyers and take everything they own because they sold him down the creek. They were part of the establishment that wanted him out of the way.
Can you imagine being a three-star general and having a nice home, a great career in the military, and then also serving the political whims of the president, Donald Trump, and then in the course of a few months have the Democratic Party and the FBI absolutely destroy your life to where you're destitute, homeless, literally, because he had to sell his home, and millions of dollars in debt? This is atrocious.
It is atrocious that a government can do that to an individual in America. Imagine what they could do to us if the Democrats had total control.
Step on us like a bug.
Exactly. They'd be just about like China.
And the lying and the innuendos. I'm going to come out and say this, and somebody's going to say, oh, you're just hate-filled. Yes, I am to some degree against what the Democratic Party has done. I want to see, and I want to make the emphasis on this, I want to see Adam Schiff in prison orange with a number on the left lapel that signifies his cell and block number, and I want him in prison for being a traitor to this country.
Well, I can't understand. Yes, I don't know why they have immunity on the floor of the Senate and the Congress. If they can lie there and nobody can hold them to it, but how can he go on TV and lie and not be held liable.
Well, it's not just him. It's James Clapper. It's Jim Comey. It's Susan Rice. It's all this little culture of lie for power mongering, and you know that's true.
Exactly. Now, to kind of shift gears a little bit about our own state, our governor, Mr. Little, I'm talking to a gentleman this weekend, and one of their kids has some salons. And I asked him, I says, are they going to open up like that gal did in Texas? Because they should.
Yeah.
And he says, no, they're not, because they've been threatened. They were going to pull their license if they did.
That's ridiculous. That's not America. And I'm going to stand up for every barbershop and every salon. Precautions have been made and precautions have been taken with masks and the hand washing and everything. Believe me, going to a barbershop and a salon, probably health-wise, is far more safe than you get 150 guys going into a big box store buying tools and wood and everything else. I'm not going to mention names, but you know what I mean.
Exactly. So I think everybody needs to call the governor and say, hey, what is this?
Yeah.
This is not America. This is not Idaho.
Pull a license for trying to make a living? I mean, this is insanity, Doug. That's what it is.
Exactly. And I asked, I said, well, can they just get another license? He says, no. He says, it's quite a process to get a license for a beauty salon.
Well, I'm going to advocate, and I am advocating, that with the precautions, Again, this weekend. I'm not ashamed to admit it. We got together with my family for my wife on Mother's Day. And if somebody wants to come after me for it, here I am. Come after me. I don't care. I'm going to live my life. I'm going to do it with all the precautions necessary. But here I am, folks. I'm not going to change.
Exactly. And I'm going to leave you after I do the senior citizens. Everybody needs to support them. And they can't open up until June 15th, I think.
Yeah. Terrible.
Last I heard.
Terrible.
They need support.
Absolutely.
If you want a senior center to stay in your area, we need to support them.
Absolutely.
And now here's a Turkish proverb. The forest was shrinking, but the trees kept voting for the axe. For the axe was clever and convinced the trees because its handle was made of wood. He was one of them.
There you go. I like that. Send that to me, would you?
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it. Doug got to run. I got another call. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Wheels, I do not know if you got the update on this, but I certainly hope you did. If not, maybe we can get it started tomorrow at the latest. Would you please play the May 19th primary?
Idaho's primary election is on Tuesday, May 19th. Here's Senator Kelly Anthon to explain this year's voting by mail.
The outcome of every election we have is determined by who shows up to vote. This year, Idaho's primary election is a mail-in only election. It's not ideal, and it's not the way we'd like to do it. But your vote does make a difference for all of us in Idaho. So please, first request a ballot, then mail it in, and make your voice heard. This message is paid for by the Anthem for Idaho Senate campaign.
By the way, I want to say something right here, folks. I had word from Mrs. Anthon that Kelly was in the hospital. And I do not know the status, the severity, or the seriousness, but I want to extend God's blessings to Senator Kelly Anthon, and I know that the minute we hear anything update on his health, we will put it on the air, but Kelly is a great, great friend of this program, and I absolutely appreciate and respect him for the job that he does for our great state of Idaho. So he was in the hospital. I believe he was put in last Thursday or Friday. And again, we do not have the information as an update as to the severity, but as soon as we do, we'll transmit it to you. And I just hope and pray that he's going to be all right. Kelly, if you're listening this morning, gung-ho, man, gung-ho, get out of bed and get going. I hope you feel better. Please, Senator Kelly Anthon. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
And good morning, Jed. You know, I think this whole thing would come to a screeching halt as far as all this shutdown. If all the elected officials, including the governor, all the staff, all those bureaucrats, don't get a check, don't get a paycheck, you know, they don't have a clue as to how the families are being affected out here the barber shops, the beauty salons, and so forth. These people are really in desperate shape. Yes, they've gotten some government help in some cases, and other cases they haven't. But this whole thing is just so overblown, and the governor has just totally been a totalitarian dictator. And that number, by the way, is 334-2100.
I'm going to
ring that to get 334-2100, the governor. I want to point out something. A sad situation happened over the weekend. A dear friend of mine passed away, and because with the virus was not able to get medical treatments.
Oh, my.
Now, this is a side effect that's happening nationwide. And no other surgeries, some important medical treatments that people have been getting have been denied, and my friend died prematurely.
Oh, my.
Just Saturday.
I am so sorry.
It saddens me so much that this thing, and they keep talking about the number of cases, but they never tell you about how many people are actually hospitalized, because over 50% of people that get the virus never even have a fever, any symptoms. So the number of cases is totally meaningless, Ed.
Yeah. Adrian, I appreciate your call. Please, let me interject something here. I appreciate your call, and I, too, over the weekend, learned of a couple of passings regarding friends and acquaintances that I knew, and the circumstances were so close to what you just said because of the hospitals and because of medical attention that was not provided, because of the coronavirus, etc. And I don't want to beleaguer this. I've got a whole bunch of things to get in here and another call, but believe me, I feel your pain and frustration.
Well, I mean, the whole thing is, this is a rather weak virus. Yes, the average age of death is almost 80, and but we've got to get back to work. And the governor just following Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci's got some credentials. He just wants to keep this going, and so does the mainstream media. They've tried to destroy this country, destroy President Trump. That's what it's all about. They want to destroy this economy. The mainstream media, the Democrats, socialists, etc., and we have to realize that. And just look at the stuff that's come out about Flynn, and this is the extent to which they will go to destroy. The scary thing to me, Zeb, is that they could do that to each and every one of us.
Okay,
Case against this.
I agree with you. I've got to run, Adrian, but again, your thoughts are very well taken, and I appreciate it. Thank you. God bless you, man. I got another call waiting. Thank you very much.
I tell you, if we don't stand up for our rights, we're being trampled on right now, and the governor is part of the problem. I'm sorry, but that's the case.
All right. Thank you very much, Adrian. Thank you. Appreciate it. Caller, I'm going to be right there. I want to remind you that Kent McClellan is running for a re-up. You betcha. He wants to be reelected for Minidoka County Commissioner. Here's a man that's a lifelong resident of Minidoka County, raised on a farm in Minidoka County, local businessman, 10 years as Minidoka County Commissioner. He knows what's going on, and he's helping you. He wants to remind everybody the primary election, of course, is going to be by mail-in ballot this year. If you haven't got your ballot yet, please go to idahovotes.gov or call your county clerk immediately. Minidoka County Clerk number 208-436-9511. And again, Kent McClellan wants your vote for Minidoka County Commissioner May 19th in the primaries, paid for by John A. Burt Stevenson for Kent McClellan. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. They're backing up. I'm sorry. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. The absolute mess. It's filthy what is going on over the General Michael Flynn case and how it relates to the president's campaign and election, and afterwards, the traitorous means and methods that were applied and used by the Democratic Party. I mean, this thing is going to go like a cesspool. It's going to get deeper and more serious. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning again. if you think anything is going to happen to Adam Schiff, then you need to change your brand of Kool-Aid, because can only be punished by his constituents, which is the Congress, and they have control. And if they don't censor him, he has nothing done to it.
I disagree with you that I think there's been some allegations and some innuendos that have shown that he blatantly lied and possibly under the oath of his position, and I think that there should be a pursuance of going after him no matter how long or how hard it is. Adam Schiff is a charlatan. Adam Schiff is a snake oil salesman, and above all, Adam Schiff is a traitor to this country by his actions and means and methods, and I want to see him punished.
Well, the problem with our country is we have this situation of freedom of speech. And when he says something, if it isn't under oath, it cannot be held against.
Yeah, but we also have slander and libel, and we also have positions that were taken by the Democratic Party, not just him, but also James Clapper, Jim Comey, Susan Rice, and others, and going all the way to the top, and I believe this, going all the way to the top, to the Oval Office with Obama. I think this thing is going to blow sky high, and I made the prediction earlier this morning, and I'll go along with my dear friend, Dr. Gerard Lamero, that this story right here will be the end of the Democratic Party, and I will cheer.
Well, the neat thing about the whole thing is it's all on tape.
There you go.
They can't pedal backwards on the facts.
Yeah, you're not kidding on that, Keith. I just want to see... I want to see the guilty be punished. I don't want to hear lip service. I don't want to hear... And I'll tell you somebody else that's guilty, too, is the media. The Don Lemons of CNN and others, the Mika Brzezinskis and all of these, the Morning Joe, these people are sleaze. These people are absolutely incompetent as being journalists.
What happened to the fact-checking thing they used to have?
Yeah, well... It's only used when it benefits them. Yeah, absolutely. You know, Keith, you brought up a really good point. I appreciate that. God bless you, man. Thanks much. Appreciate it.
You bet.
All right. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I really would appreciate your calls. The Democrats have hurt America. I'm just going to underline that word. The Democrats have hurt America. With the lying and the craving for power from the top down. When the head attorney for the Michael Flynn defense team looks at a camera and without mincing any words or being a little cautious about what's being said, stating that basically all the power and all the negative that happened during the Michael Flynn investigation was absolutely fraudulent and a lie, and it goes all the way back up to the Oval Office with Obama, nail 'em. Nail 'em. This is absolutely a part of America that's going to have a dark, dark future as far as people remembering our history. And Obama and his people and the Democrats were the major instigators. This has got to be prosecuted. Berry Equipment and Rental Sales Service and Parts, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, with old Buffalo Bill Cody and the crew, and then 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin with Eli and the Nampa location. Oh, boy, they got a huge inventory. They've got everything you need. All the Bobcats and all the Doosan wheel loaders and excavators, all the trenchers and the scissor lifts. Oh, and the Walker lawn mowers. What are you waiting for? For all the lifting, digging, pushing, carrying, mowing. I mean, they've got it all at Berry Equipment and Rental. Great lease and financing programs. You better check it out today. Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa. Berry Equipment and Rental. By the way, I gotta say this because, you know, I don't understand how a newspaper can be so careless. They never, it seems to me, proofread anything. How many of you folks, hold on, caller, I'll be right there. How many of you folks in the audience read the Times News Sunday edition yesterday, and they have a section in there called The Big Story, and it's called Roaming the Magic Valley. And they were going to feature Bellevue, Cary, Bliss, Asequa, Castleford, Albion, Buell, Burley, and then they misspelled Declo, and they've got Delco on there. But not only to our dear friends over in Declo did they screw up the name, but when they wrote the little blurbs about the various towns, they forgot all about Declo. I mean, the incompetence by this newspaper, and when they do something right, I praise them, because it's not that often. But when you do something stupid like you can't even say and proofread the name of Declo, and then you forgot to put the blurb in there about their town, that's inexcusable, and it's called proofreading. Evidently, they can't do that. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Morning, sir. Yeah, that's is a amateur mistake. If they're going to be a professional newspaper, they need to have people proofread it. I mean, you got spell check.
It's in the front. It's on the big front page of this section, and they've got it spelled wrong. You mean to tell me if I can pick it up just by glancing at it, and my wife picked it up and glanced at it and said it, and then not to cover anything about the town inside the segment itself? That's inexcusably poor quality.
It is. It really is. And I heard something this morning, too, on the news about New York has 29,000 people per square mile. Did you hear that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I took the city of Burley in 2018, had 10,500. So you 3 times the city of Burley and put it in 1 square mile.
Yeah.
No wonder those people were getting sick back there, because they're right on top of each other.
I know that the coronavirus and or the flu and or any other sickness that goes through any part of America absolutely is going to hurt and decimate large numbers of people in confined areas. You know, whether it's New York or whether it's Washington, D.C., whether it's Baltimore, Philadelphia, San Francisco, it's because of the proximity of all the people. But and hear me out on this, and if you don't agree, let me know. But to punish the entirety of the country and say thou shalt be locked up and watch our economy go into the abyss. Let me just say this, after talking to a lot of great people, Dr. Michael Busler being one of them over the last couple of days. We can't afford much more of this, or this United States of America will not be. How much more succinct can I be?
You're perfectly right on there. And what are the Democrats doing? Dragging their feet. They do not want this. They do not want us to come out. And why? Because America will cease to exist.
I'm really worried for my grandkids. I mean, we got together this weekend, and for those that are, oh, you can't do that. You've got to have social distancing. You can't get together with your family. Bunk. There's another word I would have used, but not on the radio. I am so glad that we got together. Nick and Toby and the boys, and Jake and Shanna and their boys, and us for Mother's Day. It's a very sacred time, a very blessed time for Shanna and Toby and my lovely bride. I am so glad we did it, because we haven't been together at all, Doug, since January. Now, are we concerned? Did we do the right and proper thing? Maybe in some people's eyes, not. But you know something? There's a little 4-letter word in this life that we have to accept, and it is risk.
Exactly. How do America come to be by taking a risk? You imagine the Pilgrims, when they come over here, the big risk that they were taking.
Right.
And there's one thing that American history has not been taught to the children of this country, is that when America was first founded, it was a commune. Everybody was treated equal. Everybody got equal food. But they found out that if you handed equal out, people weren't doing the work to take care of them.
Amen.
To pitch in to help.
Amen.
And people need to look that up. That is a fact. And if they want to go back to that, it's already failed once in America. Why should we bring it back again?
Yeah. No, I think it's time to get to work. All the barbers, hair salons, and the gyms. There was a guy on television this morning early. I think it was at about 4:35, and he owns a series of gyms, workout gyms, and he said, "Hey, when people come into our gym, their temperature is checked, and they have to use the hand sanitizers. They have to have the bottom of their tennis shoes clean so that they're not bringing anything in with them." How much more are they being more careful than your hardware stores?
Well, you don't get that when you go into any of the big box stores.
Bingo.
How can the big box stores stay open selling the same things as the little mom and pop stores?
Yeah, absolutely. This has got to stop. I mean, life is a risk. When you get out of bed in the morning, pull your boots on and go out the front door, life is a risk. I'm not saying that we should be careless. I think we can use all the medical know-how to make sure that we do the best we can to not cause any more of an increase in the virus. But you can't live in a bubble. And by the way, there won't be any bubble to live in if we don't let our farmers and everybody get back to work.
Exactly. Imagine what the hunger famine would be compared to the pandemic.
You got that. I got to run, Doug.
And did you know that there was a pandemic going around the world when Woodstock was on?
Yeah. What was the name of that? I can't remember.
I'm trying to remember myself. But I seen that the other day and I read about it. Yeah, there was over 100,000 people died in America.
Yeah.
When Woodstock.
Yeah. Doug, I got to run. Thank you. God bless. Caller, I'll be right there. I promise. I've got to get this in. Our weather forecast is critical. Just bear with me just a second. Don't forget, May is Better Hearing Month, and, of course, I know the people that can provide better hearing because they have all the technology. They are so good. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Number to call, 312-0957. Oh, my goodness. They've been on the radio with us a long, long time. Dr. Christine Pickup and her staff right behind the Minidoka Hospital across from the emergency room, the best with all the expert diagnostic tests to help your hearing health. Please get a hold of them today, 312-0957. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Enjoy today because we're going to be cooling off this week. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting nice and sunny skies for today, high of about 80. But tonight, clouds are going to be rolling in. We are expecting a low of 52 for tomorrow. 20% chance of showers and thunderstorms by the afternoon. Partly sunny skies, high of 68. Winds are going to be picking up out of the west. Gusts as high as 24 miles an hour. Then by Tuesday night, cloudy, gradually becoming partly cloudy with a low of 43. That's a look at your weather for Deborah Durant.
Wow, Gina, thank you. Appreciate all your help. And don't forget our friends at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. I'm telling you, if you've noticed a diminishment in your hearing, do not put it off. Get a hold of them today. 312-0957. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids with the best for your hearing health. Caller, you have been so patient. God bless you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Zip. I just want to make a statement. This is Benny from Twin Falls, by the way. I don't call very often, but when I do, I feel like, it's just like all the mothers in the world. I want to say Happy Mother's Day belated, needless to say. But, if it wasn't for the mothers, there wouldn't be any of us here to fight, bicker. But, why can't we just insert God in between and live up to what He expects us to be?
Amen. Amen. I've said on this program, and I'm sure you've heard it if you listen, but we've taken God almost out of everything. We've taken God out of our education. We've taken God out of our everyday lives. We've taken God out of sports. We've taken God out of the news and politics. Everybody's so afraid to be politically correct and not get down on bended knee and thank God for the blessings we have. On this program, I'm never, ever, and I promise you this, I'm never going to change. It's always going to be in God we trust.
Oh, I won't either, Zeb. My whole family believes in God, and it's just, I don't know how to explain it. But when we say God bless America or God bless, it's not only, I'm not only saying it for me or my family, but I'm saying it for everybody in your listening area, Zeb. And God bless you and all the work that you do.
Thank you. I so much appreciate your call. I mean that, and I hope you have a blessed day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Zeb.
Thank you. Nice man right there, and that's the way it is. I did take, just recently, for the National Day of Prayer, I had my dear friend, Pastor Alex Lissau, come on and give a short dissertation and prayer about the National Day of Prayer. And, there were some people that said, well, if I want to listen to Christian radio, I'll turn on the local Christian station. And I said, please do it. It might do you some good. I want to remind you, too, about a man that is running again for your Cassia County Commissioner, District 2, and that's Robert Kuno. I had a nice visit with him the other day, and I'll tell you what, he says he's going to continue to approach the office of Cassia County Commissioner with an open mind and desire to serve the people of Cassia County. He wants your vote May 19th in our primaries. Conservative principles, constructive ideas, proactive leadership, good county government. Don't forget to vote for Robert Kuno, and that's Cassia County Commissioner, District 2, on May 19th. And don't forget to mail your ballots in, too. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, this Chinese virus, underline that. I said it and I don't back up. This Chinese virus has hurt the entire world. So many people sick. So many people have died. And the Chinese government, with their cover-up and their misdeeds about the escape of this virus, and now this just galls me. We have people in our country, the United States of America, that are so protective of the red Chinese government, an evil government, sinister government. I will never say anything good about them. They are so protecting the Chinese that they have passed a resolution in San Antonio, Texas, that the city government said that it will be considered hate speech. Hate speech for you and I or anybody else to go to San Antonio and say the words Chinese virus. Oh, you can't say that. It might offend the Chinese. I couldn't care less. I feel a great sympathy for the Chinese people underneath the very inhumane Chinese government. I've said that many times on my program. But I am never going to say or do anything that will be in appeasement to the Chinese government. It is the Chinese virus caused by the Chinese government, and those are the facts. And you know what? The Chinese government heard about San Antonio going to go ahead and pass this resolution to make it hate speech if you say the words Chinese virus. And the Chinese government got a hold of the people down in San Antonio and gave them a great big letter of appreciation. Wow! Whose side are we on anyway? Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
You know, the Chinese government, the communist Chinese government, that will murder as many people as they feel necessary. They will abort as many babies as they need to. They will sell as many organs out of good, healthy people that apparently died for some unknown reason. They will do the most unbelievably evil things on earth. They'll smile at your face and, take your daughter and do things to her. Forget that. But, across this world, the Chinese government is have their fingers in everything, everywhere. Every continent on this earth, the Chinese government are coercing, influencing, spending money, doing things. I mean, hell, they wanted to dig another canal up north of the Panama Canal, and they're willing to do anything. And an environmental awareness doesn't mean anything to these people.
I agree.
As much as they say.
No, I'm never going to back up. I'm never going to change. I think that the Chinese government is absolutely evil, sinister, and absolutely out for only one reason, and that's to take over the power of the world. They're power mongers, and they will do anything, underline the word anything, to assert themselves with that power. I don't trust them. I despise them, and that's the way it's going to stay.
Well, this is the thing. If you look at the timeline, some of these trade deals that were being implemented, and they needed to come through and sign this and then follow through with their part of the agreement. The Chinese,
yep.
Trump had them down. They were screaming, "Uncle," and then all of a sudden, guess what? We got the coronavirus.
You got it.
And maybe it was controlled. It was intentionally, and they thought they could control it. And then, of course, think about this world and what the Chinese government owes the entire world, let alone America.
You got it, Randy. I got to run. We've got to go to the news, but thank you for your point of interest. Thank you very much. Don't forget this Thursday, it's the parking lot picnic at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. We're going to be there 11:30 to 1 this Thursday. Come on. This is going to be a lot of fun. Thomas is going to have a special all ready to go for everybody that drives in their cars. They're going to have people coming out and handing you the food. You pay, enjoy. We're going to be one big happy family outside in our vehicles at the parking lot picnic at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley, this Thursday from 11:30 to 1. Got to run to the news. I'll be right back. Did you ever have one of those days where you feel like the starter's gun went off and everybody is running ahead of you and you can't catch up? That's what I feel like right now. Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with a very safe, clean environment and the best in tires. Your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. And, of course, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And our friends at Greystone Crossing Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Wheels, this good word for Western Waste.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're all in the Georgia struggle. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this free land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand. Always at Georgia struggle. Western Waste Services.
Oh, call and get on the route service and let them come by once a week and pick up your garbage, stand there on the porch and wave goodbye. It's gone. It's out of there. Thanks to your friends at Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. The number to call, 734-6969. Western Waste Services, the best. Right now, Wheels, old buddy, old pal, can we have the good word about the May 19th primaries?
Be sure to mail in your May 19th primary election ballots. Here's Representative Fred Wood.
Hopefully everyone eligible to vote has requested their absentee ballot from their county clerk by this time. If not, please do so soon. When you receive your absentee ballot packet, fill out your ballot. Next, carefully read and follow the instructions regarding the process of ballot in the gold envelope in the white envelope, and signing the white envelope. Then mail the white signed envelope. Paid Fred Wood Campaign.
Thank you very much, Fred. And don't forget, too, our dear friends, and they have done so much during this last 2 months of real headache with the virus and everything. I want to thank Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. They have been there to serve you, help you, and make sure that you get taken care of with the recuperation of your accidents or your surgeries. They are there to help you get back to being you. They're located at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Nick Green Greenwell and all the physical therapists. They are the best. The best of facilities, everything for your health and welfare. Please get a hold of them today. Make an appointment. 678-1191. I'll say it again, 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Ladies and gentlemen, on Mondays, I get a chance to talk to a very, very dear friend to this program, and he really is going to give you the straight skivvy on what's going on. And one of the cases that's so dangerous right now for this United States of America is the General Flynn case and the Democrats' cover-up of what they have done wrong, and nobody can tell it better and give an explanation than the President of Americans for Limited Government, Richard Manning. Good morning, Rick. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Zeb. How are you?
I think I would say, and we're good enough friends I can say this, I'm nervous and a little bit more than frightened about the welfare of our country for the future of my grandsons, because I don't trust what's going on in politics, and I think we're seeing a Democratic Party with such a lust for power that human lives don't matter. Is that far-stretched, or do you agree with me?
Oh, I agree with you 100%. It's we took you intro with General Flynn, and certainly President Obama over the weekend attacked the decision by the Department of Justice to exonerate General Flynn because of malfeasance by the Department of Justice. We saw NBC News, Chuck Todd, take clips and do edited clips of Attorney General Barr on his show yesterday, on the morning show that they do, and we're completely misrepresented what he said with those edited clips. Will Chuck Todd be fired? No, he won't be fired, because that's part of the corporate media. So we have an organized attempt right now to try to demonize the Attorney General of the United States because he's actually following the law, because he's taken the position that the prosecutors, the federal government, or not even, or local government, doesn't matter, cannot target an individual based upon their political beliefs, cannot target an individual, set them up, then go and entrap them, then change what they actually said to fit what they need to have it say so they could accuse him of lying, and then charge him with perjury, run him out of money so he couldn't defend himself anymore, and recognize General Flynn is over $3.5 million in debt based on legal bills alone. He had to sell his house. He's basically had to mortgage everything to protect his own integrity. Then they went after his son and threatened to put his son in jail for no reason, but throw his son in jail if he didn't plead guilty. He pleads guilty to protect his son, and at that juncture, and we find all this out, and it is malfeasance from day one. No individual could stand up to that. It is the Justice Department did that, and they did it time and again in this Russiagate scandal. And the Russiagate scandal wasn't about President Trump. It's about the Department of Justice under Obama. It's about the CIA under Obama. It's about the FBI under Obama. It's about the Department of National Intelligence under Obama. It's about the Obama administration's decision to spy on their political enemies and use the full weaponry of the law to try to take down the Trump presidency. That's what this is about. And for anybody who tries to say anything else, they're lying. They're either grossly malinformed or they're lying.
Rick, you've been around this almost all your life, and I don't think there's anyone more qualified to answer this. Where we are today in politics, filthy, dirty, power-mongering politics, and the Democratic Party, and the lie and cheat at all costs to get control, how serious, in your opinion, is this situation, and what do you think will come of it?
Well, I think the situation is beyond anything I could have believed that our country could get to. And let's just go beyond General Flynn. Let's talk about the election process.
I know there in Idaho you guys are having to do mail-in ballots for your primary based on the ad that was on before I came on.
Right.
And but let me tell you a secret. There's a reason why Nancy Pelosi wants all mail-in ballots. There's a very simple reason for that. Because the Democrats basically go and they target people and they go and they help them vote.
Mm-hmm.
And they vote them the way they want them to vote. There's case after case of this occurring. In California, the Republicans lost at least 5 seats based on ballot harvesting, which is nothing more than going and identifying people who apply for absentee ballots and then going and kind of meeting them at the door when the absentee ballot arrives and telling them and then helping them vote, taking the vote from them, and saying, "Oh, I'll mail it for you." Now they hold them, and so they have all these ballots that they're effectively are collecting that are outside the normal chain of the voting process, and as a result, there's absolutely no way to have any confirmation that those ballots are actually valid.
Mm-hmm.
Then they show up. The votes show up after the election's over, and amazingly, just enough votes show up after the election's over to elect the Democrat. The Republican never wins in those circumstances, at least hasn't since 1994 when King Calvert won in Southern California. So the Republican never wins in those circumstances. The Democrats always win in those circumstances, and you would think if it was random, there would be a 50-50 split. In California in 2018, Republicans lost 5 seats, one where they were had by 5,000 votes on Election Day. 5,000 votes, and they overturned it.
Wow.
So, yeah, our entire electoral system is at risk, and Nancy Pelosi is pushing hard in the next stimulus package, which should not occur, by the way, the next stimulus package, to have mail-in balloting mandated for the general election in 2020. It is rife with corruption. We know that over the last 4 elections, over 20 million ballots went missing. And and if you want your ballot to count, you darn well better cast it at a polling place, because if you mail it in, there's absolutely you have no hope. You have no expectation that it should be counted. So that's so they're trying to attack the very essence of our one-man, one-vote system. And when you do that, the entire system's gone at that point. So the system's is under complete and total attack. It's dangerous. And I don't think I've ever experienced or seen anything like it. And, this is the time when we have to say no. We have to for country and say no.
Let me ask you this. When I start throwing names out in our conversation like Susan Rice or James Clapper or Adam Schiff or Jim Comey and even Barack Obama, these people, in my humble opinion, are absolutely devoid of any honesty, and they are part of the big cover-up in this plan to hurt Donald Trump and his administration. In your opinion, will any of these people really see the scales of justice come down on them and punish them?
No. In my opinion, they might get indicted. They might. I'm hoping for some of them to get perp walked, but the difficulty of actually convicting somebody, a Democrat, judicial system is almost impossible. So the federal court, you see, is 96% Democrat of the people they poll from. And if you look at the Roger Stone case where he was convicted, the jury foreman was in fact someone who had opined about the case in advance, was an advocate against and attacked Roger Stone and the President Trump in the past on social media, had lied about those facts and became the jury foreman. And when those facts became obvious to everybody and came out, Roger said, "Hey, you've got to do a mistrial. You have to overturn this conviction." And the judge, the Obama-appointed judge, said, "No, you're guilty. I don't really care that the jury was tainted by having a jury foreman who was an advocate." And so the judge rejected that claim, which is so basic. The right to have a non-biased jury is kind of basic. It's not something we argue about, and yet the federal judge, Obama-appointed judge, saw nothing wrong with having a jury foreman in the Roger Stone trial who was tainted at best. And so what do you have? So do I expect that a judge in the federal courts in D.C. is suddenly, when there's a tainted juror has a definite opinion that Barack Obama, anybody in the Barack Obama administration walked on water, that that there's going to be a fair trial? No, it's not going to be a fair trial. They're going to be tried by their own sycophants, by their own supporters, by the most avid supporters. And so, no, they're not going to get convicted. But that doesn't mean they shouldn't be prosecuted.
Absolutely.
It doesn't mean they shouldn't be tainted with this. It doesn't mean we shouldn't lay down a record which demonstrates just how bad they are, how much of abuse they engaged in. Because ultimately, the trial itself is what matters. The conviction is less important, because the trial is where you're going to get all the details out in the open. You're going to have these people on the stand under oath, and you're going to force them to talk about what happened. And that's where you're going to get on. Hopefully move the needle even further in terms of finger pointing and getting to the bottom of who was really behind this big old mess. It's very clear that Barack Obama knew about it. Whether or not he actively directed is another story. But somebody actively directed it. It's important for us to find out, for history's sake, who did it. And the only way you do that is by putting these guys on the witness stand and under oath and forcing them to answer questions.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this. There's another very sinister force in this country, and I'm a part of it. You're a part of it. We're all a part of it, and that's the media. When we address issues on the radio programs, television, or newspaper articles, the media, and I would say that it's at least 90% is a hard left reaction to what's going on. They would absolutely crucify Bill Barr in a heartbeat. They would still go after Barack Obama, or after Donald Trump on any charge, no matter how big or how small. The media is not going to change, and my fear is the media is going to control the November election. What are your thoughts?
Well, the media has always been far left. When I first started running political campaigns, too long ago to say the dates, but let's put it this way. President Reagan was in office. When I first started running political campaigns, my boss, I got mad because I couldn't get a fair shake out of the LA Times in a store. And said something very simple. He says, Rick, the left controls the media. We have more money. It's up to us to use our money to offset the media. What has changed is the left still controls the media, but now the left has more money. And so they have, and what's more, the way we get our information is different, through Google, through Facebook, through Twitter. And those platforms are aggressively, YouTube also, are aggressively censoring alternative points of view beyond the left's mainstream, not mainstream, the corporate left's point of view. And that is and as a result, we can't even buy a way to get the truth out. That's why I'm such a strong advocate for talk radio, Zeb, and why I said what I did last week about supporting sponsors. Because talk radio is one of the few mediums where conservatives are able to get their voices out and heard and get the truth out. And it's overwhelmingly far left. And yet, because America is a center-right country, we don't believe them anymore.
Yeah. What you did last week, and it's funny you should bring that up because I was going to highlight that towards the end of our conversation. What you did last week on my program to talk about my program, my sponsors and advertisers, meant so much to me, and I was absolutely shocked that we received a lot of emails and calls after the program thanking you for bringing that up. As a matter of fact, I've taken special pains to put all of my sponsors and advertisers on my website so that the general public can thank them and go in and shop there. But I personally want to say this to you on the air, Rick. That was a very nice gesture, and I'm deeply obligated for what you said. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome, and I mean, we're fighting for our country here, and you are one of the voices that's fighting for our country. And those who advertise on your radio station, on your program in particular, they aren't necessarily endorsing your point of view, but by advertising, they're giving your point of view a voice, allowing your point of view to be heard. Because people don't realize this, but this is an NPR. You have to, NPR, your taxpayers are forced to fund NPR. Private radio is funded by advertisers. And if there are no advertisers, you can't afford it. You're not buying the transmitter time yourself. And so without advertisers, there is no radio. There is none of the shows that we're accustomed to hearing happen. And so as people become aware of that, the responsibility, if you care about the country, you got to care about the advertisers who are advertising and giving you a voice. And so I was happy to do that because I see it as one of the real problems we have during this pandemic, because radio stations across the country are getting shuttered, are really under attack, having to lay off a lot of people because local advertisers aren't open for business, and it's a real hard circumstance. And if we don't stand up for those who are paying the freight, then essentially we're saying that the point of view doesn't matter. So yeah, I'm glad people paid attention to that and responded to it, because it is a really, really important part of maintaining some semblance of free media and alternative points of view that happen to tell the truth in a world where Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos and the Google people and the Zuckerbergs of the world seem to want to dominate everything.
Thank you very much. Real quick, I've only got 3 minutes left, but the coronavirus and most of the governors across the country have realized we can't go anymore in a closure attitude. We have to get back to work. We have to open things up. What are your thoughts about the naysayers saying that we should stay behind closed doors and go until there's a zero possibility, which is insane?
The Guardian, which is a far-left English newspaper, actually, came out with a story today that tells us that majority of people who've died in 18 of the states that have the most deaths died in nursing homes. They died in nursing homes because the state governments did not do their job in isolating people in nursing homes to keep the disease out of there. They're so busy arresting people for surfing that they didn't bother to cover up the nursing homes and protect the most vulnerable from this disease. We knew from the outset, from Washington State, that nursing homes were the number one place where we were going to see deaths, and yet 2.5 months later, we're still not shutting down, basically putting a big wrapper around nursing homes to protect the people inside from the disease. It is the governors like Governor Cuomo, and I don't use this word lightly, have effect through the policies of putting COVID patients into nursing homes and deliberately doing so. They have effectively committed murder, and it's despicable. And for the rest of us to have to be in jail because governors like Governor Cuomo didn't protect the nursing home population, in fact, exposed them to this death, is the opposite of what should be happening. Florida got it right. For your listeners, look at what Ron DeSantis did in Florida. He got it right. Mm-hmm. He protected the nursing homes, and they have very few deaths in Florida.
I wished I had more time. Every week it goes way too fast. President of Americans for Limited Government, my friend, Rick Manning, stay well, God bless, and thank you for all that you do. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, buddy. Have a good week.
All right, thank you. Rick Manning, and like I said, he's going to give you the straight truth about the subjects on everything, whether it's the coronavirus, whether it's the Chinese problem with their government, whether it's Obama's administration and cover-ups with the FBI, etc. Straight shooter, and I really appreciate him. Want to also tell you real quick about some other really straight shooters, and that's, of course, our friends, Joel Heward, his family, and staff over at Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. You know, they really serve families. When there is the passing of a loved one, they are always there to make sure that your family's taken care of with the best possible support and comfort, and always upholding the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. They care. Number to call, 436-5636. I'll say that number again, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. Joel Heward, family and staff. And Joel Heward also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Really good people. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget that Robert Kunow is running again for Cache County Commissioner, District 2. Very nice man that is believing in conservative principles, constructive ideas, proactive leadership, good county government, and absolutely says, I'll continue to approach the office of Cache County Commissioner with an open mind and desire to serve the people of Cache County. Don't forget, he's been a board member for South Central Public Health, board member for Community Action, and a board member for Region 4 Development. He wants your vote again on May 19th. Bob Kunow, Cache County Commissioner, District 2. Don't forget, vote May 19th. And get your mail-in ballots turned in and mailed. There you go. We are going to have a ripping good time coming up this Thursday. Now, I need your help. It won't succeed without your help. You are the key for the lock, let me tell you. We're going to have a great big parking lot picnic at Denny's Restaurant. And that's going to be this Thursday from 11:30 to 1 at 611 North Overland in Burley. Denny's Restaurant. Oh, yeah, America's Diner. Talk to Thomas, and they're going to have the staff serving you out in your vehicles with all the food on the special that they're cooking up. And it's just going to be a lot of fun. Come on, help support it. May 14th, this Thursday. Y'all come on down to Denny's Restaurant at 611 North Overland in Burley for the parking lot picnic, and Penny Main and the Chamber are helping us on this. It's going to be a lot of fun. Please, let's support Denny's Restaurant this Thursday. Another quick note is let's ride. Oh, the weather this weekend, phenomenal. We got on our four-wheelers and took a little scurry around the area. Well, I'll tell you what, if you're ready for a little scurry around the area, don't forget to get them serviced, yes sirree, before you take them out in the hills and on the trails and everything. Let's ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They are serving you, and oh boy, I'll tell you what, they've got a showroom full of fun. All the side-by-sides, all the four-wheelers, and they've got rebates on those. I'd get a hold of them today if I were you. Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 2. The best. Let's ride 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, where the fun is sold. And that's the truth, too. Let's go to the phone line right now, and I just absolutely enjoy visiting with this man because he knows so much about what's going on in the world, and he writes all the time. I envy his ability to sit down and be able to write all the time. I'd like to just kind of throw everything in the corner for a couple days and just write like he does. Frosty Woldridge, Golden, Colorado. How are you, my friend?
Oh, Zeb, the best to you and Deanne and everyone listening this morning. I hope that you all are safe and sound and healthy. And I hope that each one of us is enjoying the springtime. Take a bicycle ride, take a walk in the park, take a walk down a trail, go fishing. That's what I wish for everybody. And for those of you who would like to have a little bit of positive news, positive energy, I wrote a piece. It's on newswithviews.com this morning, published, and it's called Just Another Bike Ride, Silence and Action are true wisdom's best reply. And what I did was kind of incorporate what's going on in the world right now as we're dealing with this disease raging around the United States and certainly around the planet, to think about hope. And I used the Shawshank Redemption as a platform for each one of us to move toward hope, to methodically and intellectually and spiritually move forward like Andy Dufresne did. He was the lead character who got thrown into prison, Shawshank Prison, along with Morgan Freeman, who was known as Red at the time. It was Tim Robbins was playing that character. And this is an iconic movie. And he sat there in the prison, and he had been framed. Somebody else killed his wife. He got tossed in, and he was there for life. And yet he held out hope. And at one point, he and Andy, or Red and Andy, were sitting in the prison in the corner there talking, and he realized that he wanted to be on a beach in Mexico with a hotel, because he was a banker, he was a businessman, and he wanted to be working on a boat for his charter fishing business. And as Red came over and talked to him, of course, he just said, "You're not getting out of here." And then that's when Andy says, "Well, it's time to get busy living, or it's to get busy dying." And at that point, he decided to make his escape. And I think each one of us, and of course, I know just about every person watching and listening this morning, watched The Shawshank Redemption by Stephen King, one of the most brilliant books, and certainly the greatest movie. I think I've seen it over 10 times now. But we all need that hope, and it's there for all of us. And I just wanted to bring that hope to all of us in that national column that published this morning, and to each and every one of you. We just move through this period of our lives knowing that there are great challenges, and all of us are in this together, and that we move with hope, and we move with our protocols, of course, social distancing and being smart about this thing. And we're all going to come through this thing, and we're going to do it together, and we're going to do it as Americans, and we're going to do it as spiritual and religious and capable American citizens. So I'm hoping that each and every one of you can read this, because I think it'll be very uplifting.
I have not had a chance to finish it. I just got it prior to going on the air this morning. But I want to say this, and I want to have you respond. We're good enough friends that if you don't agree with me, I know you'll tell me, and I also will do the same with you. But with everything that's going on in this country right now, we are at a pivot point. Our boot heels are on the edge of a huge chasm. That chasm is country ruining. And the country ruining is our economy. We could easily slip back into a third world, third status country in just a matter of weeks more if we don't get back to work. And with everything in life, there is a 4-letter word called risk, R-I-S-K. And I don't like the government or anyone assuming my risk and locking me up. What are your thoughts?
There's no question, and I wrote a column about that probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. And the fact is, we as a nation must brave the risk. And that risk is that we all have to go back to work. We have to normalize our lives using intelligence and obviously the protocols that have been put in place so that we don't have this virus spreading. But at the same time, Zeb, and I agree with you 100%, it's less than a 1% kill ratio. In other words, last night I was doing some calculating. In the last 60 days, we have lost 70,000 Americans to this COVID-19. In the last 60 days, we've lost 180,000 people to cancer and heart attacks. Death through cancer and death through heart attacks. So obviously, there's living and dying going on across the country, but the heart attacks and the cancer is virtually almost 3 times that of this COVID-19. And again, I want to make this very clear. Certainly as a former cardiac catheterization med tech, as a former United States Army Medical Service Corps officer, the reality is we can handle this, and we have to handle it, because if we don't go back to work, those 70 deaths from the COVID-19 are going to turn into literally hundreds of thousands, and if not more, millions, if we allow our entire economy to collapse. Because if we do that, at some point, there will be no food going into the grocery stores, and you will not have the ability to function if you don't have food to eat. And unfortunately, we have become such a monster of a nation. And again, I've talked about this over the years. We let We let immigration take us from 194,000 people, 194 million people back in 1965, thanks to Teddy Kennedy and Howard Metzenbaum and Jacob Javits, those three morons that turned in the 1965 Immigration Reform Act. We added over 130 million more people to our country, which we really didn't need. We were very successful at 194 million. And so now, at 330 million, we got to feed all these people. And that means we've got to have the food on the table. We've got to plant the food. We've got to harvest the food. We've got to bring the food to the cities through trucks. And if we don't do that, the 70,000 COVID-19 deaths will be a drop in the bucket compared to having our entire society, this civilization, simply collapse because we didn't go back to work. So I'm with you 100%. And the big honchos in Washington D.C. better get their heads out of their rear ends and start moving toward getting America back to work. That is the way it is, and that's with the risks, just like Andy Dufresne and Red there at Shawshank prison. It's a perfect metaphor. We have got to get busy with living instead of busy with dying.
You know, I said this in a blog that I had written not too long ago, and I'm going to maintain this. It seems like we're more concerned today with the what if instead of what is. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. You know, the one thing I love about working with you, Zeb, and with Deanne, we're talking common sense. We're talking being a farmer. We're talking about being a rancher. We're talking about working with animals. And you have to use common sense. In other words, you don't piss on an electric fence. You know, and that's what's happening with most of Washington, D.C. And so what is, and we have to deal with it, and we have to deal with it realistically. So, again, I'm shoulder to shoulder with you on this thing. We have got to get back to work.
There's another set of numbers, Frosty, that I think you and I can elaborate on in all honesty this morning that scare me worse than the coronavirus. They are the increasing and devastating numbers of suicide, the devastating numbers of marriages that are going down the drain, the devastating numbers of people with depression, and the devastating job loss that's getting very close to the depression-like numbers of close to 30 million people out of a job and maybe no hopes of getting a job back. Those numbers, I think, need to be addressed also.
Well, I also want to bring one other aspect into this depression thing. The domestic abuse is rising, again, commensurately with the loss of jobs. One of the things that make my life has always been hard work. In the latter part of my life, it's not that I have hard work writing books and writing columns for all the news services across the country and doing all the research, but I'm working. I put in 50 hours a week on this computer. It's not moving furniture. It's not teaching school. It's not me crawling through a Constantino wire in the United States Army. It's not me going to a cardiac cath lab every morning to help save somebody's life. But in this part of my life, I'm working just as hard as I ever did, and it gives me purpose. We all need purpose. Work is honorable. And it also keeps us even-keeled. It gives us purpose spiritually, mentally, physically. And that way, we have reason to be alive. And so, no question, the depression, I've seen some of the depression going on. A lot of my friends are having a hard time themselves because all of a sudden they're stuck in the house and they're, again, being quarantined. And not being able to go to the movies anymore. I mean, this thing has changed our lives dramatically in the last 60 days. All I can say is, for each of us, may we find purpose in our day, whether it's reading a book, whether it's playing with our children, whether it's going into the unemployment line, or whether it's trying to pick up a side job here or there. We really all have together, we've all got to get together and create a national. We've got to talk to and speak to, go on to Facebook and tell Tucker Carlson or even somebody like Anderson Cooper or Jesse Waters or any of them that we all need to get back to normality, and that's work. And even with all of the risk that involves, we need purpose in our lives, And this work aspect is the honor of our lives. It's the risk of our lives right now, but we've got to get back to it.
You know, there's one other issue I wanted you to comment on this morning, and when I first heard this last week on Wednesday, I was so mad I almost punched a hole in the wall by my big lazy boy in the living room. When I heard that our governments, like San Francisco city government, etc., they are providing free drugs, free booze, free, let's see what else, cigarettes to the homeless to appease them and keep them calm. I thought our tax-paying dollars are going to give booze, drugs, and cigarettes to homeless people, but the kicker was the city of San Francisco is demanding that hotels furnish rooms to the homeless, and they're basically taking over private enterprise. This is insanity.
Well, let me add one more to that. Gavin Newsom, a man who I completely disrespect for his incredible corruption, his incompetence, and this is a guy that was never worked on a farm. This guy doesn't know anything about common sense, rational thinking, or taking rational action. He's also, I think he sequestered something around $125 million to help illegal aliens and their businesses there in the state of California. Instead of deporting them, instead of getting ICE on them, he's the man who's making sure they have sanctuary, along with Nancy Pelosi and along with Maxine Waters. I can go right on down the line because I know these are the House members and certainly the governor that are protecting all of these illegals. And those approximately 4 million illegals now inhabit California, breaking the system. Their kids get free breakfasts and lunches. Their kids get medical care off of yours and my tax dollars, federal tax dollars. And that's brought to you by Nancy Pelosi, the House Speaker in the United States House of Representatives. And that's a governor in the state of California. That's Maxine Waters, who's a multimillionaire because she's such a corrupt inside trader for the last 40 years as a House member. And as I don't know if anybody knows this, Maxine Waters has never put a bill into Congress that did anything, that passed, that helped her people, and she's from an all-black district. Same thing with John Lewis. The same thing with Elijah Cummings, the guy that just died. None of these people did anything. All they did was live the high life up there in Washington, D.C., scammed the money because they knew the insider trading on defense contracts, and let all of their constituents simply starve to death. And that's what's going on. I'm sorry. Somebody like Gavin Newsom ought to be booted out on his rear end and get somebody in there that actually knows what they're doing and is honest, has integrity, and follows the rule of law, and certainly their oath to the U.S. Constitution and to their state and to the citizens of the state. Those people that are up there right now are not doing that, Zeb. And it's going to be consequences beyond them in the years ahead as this thing gets worse.
You know, and it will get worse. And I don't want to sound like the prophet of doom and gloom, nor do you, I'm sure. We get together and we talk about a lot of optimism whenever we have a chance, when you visited here, etc., or when I've been back there in Colorado. But we got to relay the facts. And quite frankly, the facts are we have very poor leadership in both sides of Congress, the Republican and the Democrats. They've been bought off, they're stupid, and they really can't have a sense of reality. We've got to change this.
We do, and I said it in my last column a week ago. We need term limits. We have got to get rid of somebody like Maxine Waters, Nancy Pelosi, Joe Baca, Sheila Jackson, mindless, idiotic, somebody like Ilhan Omar with an IQ of 68, Rashida Tlaib out there in Detroit, who are against the U.S. Constitution. We have got to have new, fresh minds with new, fresh solutions that actually work. We have to absolutely elect those who are going to serve this country and our citizens rather than some other country's citizens. And that has to be with term limits. A maximum of 10 years. That'll give everybody enough experience, and then kick them out of the Senate and kick them out of the House Because I'll tell you right now, both sides, the Republicans and the senators, are screwing the American people backwards, forwards, upwards, and downwards. I don't care. When you fund a war in Iraq and Afghanistan for 19 years, I don't care if you're a Republican or you're a Democrat, you're a scoundrel because you have cheated the American people out of $6 trillion that could have been fed into America for American citizens and solved a whole lot more than the stupidity of fighting in those Islamic lands by all those warlords and all those crazy people over there, and think that that is something that's going to stop terror from coming into this country. It hasn't, it isn't, and it won't. We need to get out of the Middle East and start serving our people, the American people. We're the taxpayers. We're the funding of this. We're funding all of this, and we're not getting any results, and certainly no benefits from any of it.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Frosty, I wished we had more time. The very best to you and Sandy, and God's blessings till next week. We meet again right here on Zeb at the Ranch. Thanks, Frosty. Take care.
God bless. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Always look forward to having my friend on the program, Frosty Woolridge. I've got to tell you the weather forecast right now, and it's brought to you by the professionals. Underline that word, the professionals. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. They've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cassia area for well over 50 years. They are the professionals when it comes to tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, retirement planning, and so much more. They have done so much to help us, and I know they can help you. Please, offices in Burley and Rupert, the professionals, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Enjoy today because we're going to be cooling off this week. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting nice and sunny skies for today, high of about 80. But tonight, clouds are going to be rolling in. We are expecting a low of 52. For tomorrow, 20% chance of showers and thunderstorms by the afternoon, partly sunny skies, high of 68. Winds are going to be picking up out of the west. Gusts as high as 24 miles an hour. Then by Tuesday night, cloudy, gradually becoming partly cloudy with a low of 43. That's a look at your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
I just wished we could get a forecast that said for the next 5 days, we're just going to have highs in the mid-70s and no wind. But maybe that's coming on later on. I want to remind you, too, about Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And, boy, I'm pretty high on these folks. When they say they're going to do something, they get her done. Absolutely. The best in serving you with accounting services for you, your family, and your business. Locations at 625th Street in Rupert, 1710 Overland Avenue in Burley. The professionals. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, bringing you the weather. Here's what I want to remind you of, and I need your help. Please, I don't care if we are bumper to bumper down there. It's going to be a lot of fun. This Thursday, Thomas has called Deanne this morning and said the picnic special for this Thursday is going to be a senior club sandwich with fries, just $7.99, fountain drink $2.39. Please jump in the car, come on down. We're all going to sit in the parking lot. We're all going to sit in our vehicles. They're going to bring the food to us. It's going to be really easy, but we want to pay tribute and salute with a parking lot picnic, Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner, at 611 North Overland in Burley this Thursday from 11:30 to 1. Put that on your calendar, please. All my friends in the lunch bunch, everybody else, please, let's just go and make it a jam-up good time at Denny's Restaurant this Thursday, 611 North Overland in Burley. Absolutely. Well, a couple of my friends I want to thank over in the Rupert area, and that's Cameron and Siemens Insurance, life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and so much more by some folks that are really dedicated and responsive and accessible and devoted to serving you. I mean it. They've done a great job helping us. They'll do the same for you. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. What do you do? Well, you just pick up the phone and give them a call at 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424 for the best. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Wow. A lot of things going on, and I know there's been criticism of Minico High School for their graduation plans. I'm not going to criticize them. Graduation from high school is absolutely one of the greatest memories in anyone's life. The friendships, the actual day, the wearing of the cap and gown, and the basically teary-eyed response, knowing that when you go across that stage for your diploma, it's going to be the last time in that high school. The last time you open and or shut the door, last time. And then it's out into the real world. And I absolutely salute the Minidoka County School District for what they're going to do with their graduation and how it's going to be handled. And I say lead on. We cannot live a life of fear. You cannot live a life of what if. I've said this so many times, it's redundant. You can't cower and say, well, what if this happens? Well, what if that happens? Well, what about this? What about that? Oh, my goodness. We have to look at what is. We have young people that have gone through their high school and they are now going out into the world, maybe to a college and university, maybe to some life's work someplace. That is the what is. And I pay them all at all schools a lot of tribute. God bless you in your future endeavors. But as a society, this fear of, oh my goodness, well, what if we catch this? What about that? Just get down on your knees and pray that this whole thing will get better. But we can't live a life of what if. That's not living. Next hour, we have Mark Bernstein. And he's going to be coming on the program talking about working at home and how a lot of people, a lot of companies, etc., are making the transition to stay at home and make it the new normal. We're going to talk to him about that. Then at 10:30 this morning, we've got Vicky's Country Gardens coming out. Oh, Vicky with, I didn't say oh, I said oh, Vicky is always so talented in telling us how to grow our gardens. And then at 10:47, we got a new segment for about 6-7 minutes, and that's going to be Dog Days with the Minidoka County Animal Control, Deb Hines. So don't miss that coming up this next hour. Right now, we're going to send it over to my good friend Wheels at our main studio, and he's going to run us up to CBS News, and we will be back in about 7 minutes. Don't you go away. Oh, my. All aboard for the last hour. Zeb at the Ranch, good morning, good morning. Brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations are open and serving you with a very safe, clean environment and the best in tires. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. You stop in and see them today. Along with our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. You know, also our friends over at Greystone Crossing Senior Living. And seniors, listen to me. They have built a beautiful 12-bedroom home. Oh, boy, you should see the facility. Yes, you should, and you can. Just call 650-4979 and set up an appointment to see Greystone Crossing, where they provide 3 meals a day, snacks, housekeeping, local transportation. It is a great, great place to be with your friends. Greystone Crossing Senior Living, 1221 21st Street in Heyburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. You get a hold of them today. Want to also mention about the May 19th primary. Wheels, if you would, please.
Be sure to mail in your May 19th primary election ballots. Here's Speaker of the House, Scott Bedke.
The primary election on May 19th is quickly approaching. You should all have received a ballot request form in the mail. Fill it out and send it in. Then you will get the official ballot back to you in the mail. Read the directions carefully and fill it out. Put it in the envelope, and don't forget to sign the envelope and send it in. It's just that easy. Paid for by Bedke for Idaho.
Thank you very much, Speaker Bedke, and don't forget 7K medals, and you can build yourself your own financial security and future. Well, it's like creating your own security bank, absolutely, through silver purchases that come right to your home. I've been involved in it now for a couple of months, and I urge you to do the same. Call Lon Hardy at 312-8699 or Sharon Wilmot at 430-3259. Ask them all about it. Tell them I told you to call. By golly, they'll help you. It is a great saving opportunity. And like I said, also a valued treasure for your loved ones. 7K medals, silver purchases. You get a hold of those good folks today. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and we have with us a fiscal therapist, speaker, author of The Fiscal Therapy Solution and 6 Steps to Personal and Business Financial Health. Boy, I want to talk to him, and that's Mark Bernstein. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you today?
Let me ask you, I always want to ask, because I'm not sure, is it Bernstein or Bernstein? Help me on that.
In my case, it's Bernstein. That's the more traditional way of pronouncing it, I believe.
Oh, good. I didn't have egg on my face, so I appreciate it. Mark, tell us a little bit about your book. What are you trying to tell people in your book?
Sure. Well, it's called 6 Steps to Personal and Business Financial Health. And really what it does is it advocates for a process. Just like if you're going to physical therapy or psychological therapy, emotional therapy, whatever it is, the idea is that you use a process to figure out what it is you want, and then figure out how you want to get there. And the last thing you talk about is the financial products. I'm in an industry that tends to push products and tends to put the product first, and a lot of people end up with what I call the financial attic. They end up with all this stuff, and they don't know how it got there, and they're not sure how they're going to use it when it gets there. It's kind of like going up the mountain towards retirement or financial independence and then going down the mountain. How are you going to get your distributions? And a lot of times that's difficult because they don't really know all the stuff they have or how it works together, and they don't really have a plan. So another way I'll describe it is the financial planning pyramid that I grew up with was very product-based in the business. It was, at the bottom was cash, then it was money markets, then it was mutual funds and bonds, stocks, alternative investments. And I remember thinking, I'm an attorney by background, so I was trained to kind of ask questions. And I remember thinking that, how do I know people even need all this stuff? How do I know that they're the products that they need? And so I started early on developing a financial planning process. Today, our pyramid looks at the bottom, it says protection, and it says savings and debt as you go up, then growth, then income, then legacy. And when I ask people, that pretty much covers pretty much every financial goal or objective they could have. And that process helps them better figure out what they need. And then the puzzle is trying to fit the products together and fit the different accounts and savings and the numbers. There's a book out there that's been around for a while. The number's important, but it's first really what do you want? And particularly now in light of what's going on with this pandemic, and it's interesting because I'm having a lot of pretty deeper conversations with people, and they're reevaluating what's important to them, as these things tend to do.
When you were talking, I'm sitting...
Is the valuable part of this.
Absolutely. Mark, while you were giving that dissertation on your book, I was sitting here thinking a lot of our problems today, and I want you to address this, and if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. But a lot of our problems today, if not 90% of the problems with finances and bankruptcies and people going under, is because the school systems, in my opinion, are not teaching kids about fiscal awareness and how to set financial goals, how to attain those, how to even keep a balance in a checkbook. I think it goes back to our education system, does it not?
Absolutely. I mean, I can't tell you if that's where 90% of the problems come from. I think there are, even with education, I think some people just clearly spend more than they make, and institutions and governments tend to spend more than they make. So I'm not sure the education alone would do it. But is that a factor? Absolutely. And there's very little, it's starting to change. I'm starting to see it, in the high schools a bit. You can definitely take financial planning courses in college now, but they're optional. It's not a necessary requirement. Professional schools, I went to law school. There's absolutely nothing in regard to any kind of financial training. I understand medical schools are now doing that a little bit, but it's so little relative to what I think is needed that I would absolutely agree with you. And some of the things are very basic. I have a section in the book called Moneytudes that talks about attitudes about money. And one of the simple ones I use a lot, it's attributed to Ben Franklin. My father used to say it to me. I write about that in the book. Pay yourself first. That's probably the first basic rule of financial planning. Put money away for yourself before you pay for anything else. And those simple kind of things, if children learn them, I totally agree with you, would change the way they look at money for sure. And there are others as well.
I have said on this program numerous times in the past, Mark, and again, if you don't agree, let me know. But I think every family should have a Monopoly game, the old game Monopoly. And I'll tell you, they should play that with their kids once a week, no matter 6, 8, 10, 12 years of age on into high school. And I think it would absolutely help them realize money or the need for it and what they want to purchase.
I love that idea. I've never heard it put that way, but I did play a fair amount of Monopoly, and my family did. And there are times that I'm doing something, thinking investing in real estate or something like that. And I also live in Philadelphia, so we're not that far from the Atlantic City boardwalk, Atlantic City, and all those places. We grew up knowing where all those places are. So yeah, that became real world for me. So I think that's a great idea. I haven't considered it, but it's a great idea.
Let me ask you this. With this pandemic changing and altering lives, the way that we do things, the way that we work with people, the way that we try to conduct our jobs, and now a lot of people doing things from their home, tell us about what you think might be the new normal after this pandemic has somewhat subsided.
Yeah, it's a great question, Zeb, and I've been looking at that a lot the last week, and I've been talking on a lot of shows like this, particularly about the real estate piece of that and what's going to happen. But look, I think talking to a lot of people and reading a lot and observing what's going on, I think, number one, people are understanding that they like working at home. They can be productive. Companies, on the other hand, are looking at it and saying, hey, we can save a lot of money if this were done. And they're figuring out what kind of jobs that need to be supervised, where you need in-house supervision, and which ones you don't. I mean, there's Nationwide Insurance, as an example. 98% of their workers are working outside of the office from the home right now. And they've already announced that it's going to be a permanent change. They're going to have 4 major offices, and all the rest of their offices are going to be shut down, and people are going to work from home. I don't know the percentage, but it sounds to me like 80 to 90% of their workers are going to be working from home. Other companies, Barclays, Morgan Stanley, are looking at the same kind of thing. I mentioned I'm a lawyer. I know a lot of Philadelphia lawyers. It's a stereotype, but I do know a lot of them, some of my neighbors. And law firms, I know, are certainly reconsidering expensive downtown space. And some employees need to be in the office, but many do not. And partners of law firms tend to be the ones that don't want to go in, pay for expensive parking and just, waste the time commuting, sometimes an hour or two to get into the office in major cities. And they could be at home working instead or spending the extra time with families. So I think there's going to be permanent changes. And I think it's going to, the more I look at it, I think it's going to be different from industry to industry, from geography, from a geographic point of view. It's going to be different places. But I think there's definitely going to be a trend towards a lot more working remotely. And I think people are also reevaluating their lifestyles and saying, boy, now I can work and take a break in the middle of the day and actually go outside, or I can, maybe change childcare around a little bit. And so, yeah, I think there's definitely going to see permanent changes. We don't know exactly what they're going to look like yet, but it's going to be a much greater tendency to spend a lot less on commercial real estate and a lot more on, people, different programs for people to be able to work remotely. And I do think, Carl Icahn is selling short on commercial real estate. And I think a lot of people, I think it could be a troubled area going forward, or at least they're going to have to reinvent uses for the real estate that didn't exist before.
You know, Mark,
so we're going to go through some major growing pains, I think, after this.
Mark, I'd like you to address an issue that I was thinking about the other day, and it's about our college and universities graduate students that are all of a sudden, they're going to hit the job market come up June, July this summer, and are they ready? Are they prepared for a transitioning of going into the job force, but basically doing it from their apartment? Are they prepared?
Well, it's a good question. To some extent, I would say they're more prepared than other generations because they have the technology skills. They have the they're kind of growing up with that mindset. I know my daughter is 2 years out of college, and she was working out of an office, but with a company that people work remotely all the time. And if they want to go home and visit their families, they go home. She comes here, she's working all the time to visit. So it wasn't new to her. So now during the pandemic, she's doing it, and it's very natural to her. So I think that in some ways they're more prepared. On the other hand, if they haven't worked at all, have they developed any discipline, any habits yet? Again, there's not a whole lot of teaching about that aspect of it in college. It's more the substantive subjects. So that's another question. And I think it's going to be. I think it's a mix. It depends on the individual. It depends where they went to school. More and more, they're going to be going to school online, and if they're successful in school, that's going to prepare them because more. I know some of the Ivy League schools are looking at. Previously, I know Cornell and Harvard. I think Harvard's backtracked, but they're talking about remote classes for the fall. So it's going to be a different mindset. In some ways, I would have initially said I don't think they're prepared, but the more I think about it, in some ways they are, because they've been using technology their whole lives, these current graduates.
Your point right there is so well taken. My grandsons were down here this weekend for Mother's Day, and my youngest grandson is only 5 years old, and the technology and the understanding of technology is far, far superior to mine. I'm an old man, but you're probably right. Maybe these kids of today and young adults of today will better transition than people my age, your age, etc., into a job force that's going to be completely different from what we're used to.
Could be. And it kind of goes along with, I don't like the stereotypes of, for instance, the millennial generation, but that's a generation that likes to think more on their own. They like to be their own boss. They don't really like to be, the herd mentality of working. So in a lot of ways, it kind of fits with their personal values as well, again, without stereotyping. So the more I think about it, I think it may work very well for them.
Let me ask you one other thought, though. I've been in the real estate business and other businesses. I love to compete. I absolutely love to compete. I like the competition factor of going out and maybe having more sales than John Smith or whatever the case might be. What about productivity in a world where basically you're living in your own little eggshell?
Yeah, I think that's one of the challenges. That's one of the things I've thought about. In fact, my partners and I were talking this morning about this Michael Jordan show that's come out.
Yes.
His documentary that he basically produced about his life. And I haven't watched it yet, but I know what comes out. The theme is how extremely competitive he was and still is, and how that kind of ruled that he would do anything to find competition. And, that comes partly from playing on teams, partly from playing team sports. So my wife and I actually were having this conversation in recent days. What happens without being in that kind of environment? Mm-hmm. I think one of the answers to that, I think that's going to be a lot on companies, because how can you can still keep track. You can still have accountability. You can still compare people. You can have rankings, and you can have, so for instance, in real estate, if everyone's working remotely in real estate, and that's a career, realtors as an example, it's fairly easy to do that, right? I have a lot of friends that are in that business, and we've been talking about that. But if there's good communication from the parent company and shows, they're still going to, the ones that are competitive are still going to pay attention to rankings. They're still going to pay attention to, obviously, that's a product where you get what you eat what you kill, basically. So I hate that expression, but so they'll see it in the pocketbook, they'll see it in the rankings, they'll see it in the recognition. But I think it is harder for companies, and I think companies have to come up with new ways to hold accountability and to show rankings and to make people feel like they're part of this group. You can do a lot of that through Zoom calls. There's a lot of parodies going on about that. I saw some great ones Saturday Night Live this past weekend. But but I think it could be done. But again, it's a challenge. I think that has to be thought about and has to be overcome.
One last
great question that you asked.
One last thought, Mark, and I want to ask you this. I can tell by the sound of your voice, and I can tell by what you do and what you want to accomplish, that you, of course, are a poster boy like I am for capitalism. And anytime I see these socialistic ideas on TV or listen to the likes of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I just really get an anger-filled atmosphere. Capitalism is what made America great. It's what's going to keep America great, and it's the greatest thing for our kids. I'd like you to expand on that.
I try not to get real political about it, but do I believe in capitalism? Absolutely. I also believe that government has its role, but I don't think it's to restrict business, unless it's harmful to other people or to companies. I think that. Look, I totally agree that this country we still are the greatest experiment in democracy that's ever lived. And I say experiment because we're testing it all the time, and it's just the nature of the beast. But and our democracy is built on capitalism, and I think that's what really tests the mettle of people. Once you put people into jobs where everybody's working the same and getting paid the same, and the extreme of socialism or communism, I think it takes people's incentives away to create. And I think what is wonderful about America is creation. New things are being created every day, new ideas, new concepts, new technologies, new cures, in terms of what's going on right now. And, I think if you take that incentive away, it's not good for us, and it's not good for the world.
Amen.
There's no question about it.
Amen. I certainly wish you a lot of success. Mark Bernstein, fiscal therapist and author of The Fiscal Therapy Solution. I certainly hope you'll come back in the future. I've enjoyed our conversation. Thank you, Mark. God bless.
Me too, Zeb. Would love to do it again. And if I could just say the Fiscal Therapy Solution 1.0, best place to get it is Amazon.com, which is very easy to do these days. And, most people find it a pretty good read, so hope that your listeners enjoy it.
Amen. Thank you again, sir, and I'll look forward to having you back. Thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
All right, sir. Very intelligent, smart man, Mark Bernstein, fiscal therapist and author of the book Fiscal Therapy Solution. There you go. Don't forget to get a copy of that book. And he knows about the economy and what's going to make it tick. Right now, I've got to pay some bills, and I want to talk to you about my friends at Patterson's Electronics. Wheels, once again, I hate to say this on the air, but we're got kind of that barrel effect. If you could check on that, I'd sure appreciate it. Patterson's Electronics at 421 East Main in Burley with our dear friends Curtis and Lorena and their staff serving you with all your electronics needs. Oh, my. I'm talking... They know everything about electronics. I had Curtis on the phone not too long ago, and he's going on about this, and he's going on about that, and I'm going, holy moly, I got a lot to learn about electronics world, I'll tell you that. Home theater systems, all the video surveillance cameras, car stereos and speakers, complete sound systems, and they've got all your TVs from Samsung, Sony, Toshiba, LG TVs. Wow. You have questions? They've got the answers. You need electronics? They've got it all. Open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6, and the number to call, 678-6997, Patterson's Electronics. And starting tomorrow, tomorrow, I'm going to be giving you a little word about vote for your local charity at Patterson's Electronics and how it could fiscally help those charities, okay? We're going to take care of that during tomorrow at their commercial. Patterson's at 421 East Main in Burley. Another sponsor of our program that absolutely deserves all the praise that we can heap upon them, and that's Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. They're located at 459 Overland in Burley, and I want to tell you they're back to their regular hours. No appointments needed. You can stop in anytime, all the time, Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 10 to 5. I urge you to stop in. They've been doing some spring cleaning, and you can save a whole bunch of money. As a matter of fact, 40 to 50% off. And if you need new sofas, chairs, floor coverings, whatever, this is the place. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. Really great people serving you. Okay, now before we go any further, I got to tell you again that we're going to have that parking lot picnic at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. This Thursday, we're going to be there at 11:30. I'm going to run like crazy to get there. 11:30 to 1 at 611 North Overland in Burley. Oh, my goodness. Everybody's going to drive in the parking lot, sit in their vehicles. The food's going to be served to you. The special is going to be a senior club sandwich with fries and a fountain drink. And by golly, we're looking forward to it. It's going to be this Thursday from 11:30 to 1. We're going to get things back to normal at America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. Thanks to Penny Main and the Chamber for helping out. It's going to be a great big parking lot picnic this Thursday at Denny's Restaurant. Don't miss it. Right now, we're going to send it back over to Wheels. We'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Wow, when you're talking opportunity, you have had an opportunity thrown right into the fray. And I'm talking about Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair. It is for sale. It's a turnkey business opportunity for you at 635 21st Street in Heyburn. Oh, my goodness sakes. Doug will even train the buyer of the business. And like I said, it's a turnkey business. The shop, beautiful new shop, all the equipment, everything right there. Wow. 635 21st Street in Heyburn. I urge you to call Doug and find out more. 878-4991 or after hours 431-5282. Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair is for sale. This is a great business. You better check it out. Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair. Right now, let's go to the phone line on Mondays, and I tell you what, I've got so much respect for this lady because she knows everything there is to know about how to get your garden to grow. Hello, the lovely Miss Vicky at Vicky's Country Garden.
Good morning, Zeb. How are you today?
I am so spoiled with 80-degree weather this weekend and absolutely being outside, maybe a little respite from the wind, but it's going to go back to normal here tomorrow.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah, yesterday evening was a beautiful evening.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we was all sitting outside. Somebody said, and there's no wind, and I said, shut up and don't remind it.
Boy, you're sure polite to your family, I'll tell you that. Hey,
just enjoy it and don't remind it that it's not blowing.
One of the questions that keeps coming up every week on this program, and I'll bet you we get 4 or 5 emails on this, people are saying how much water in warmer weather. I mean, what do you tell them?
Okay, just remember that the nights are still fairly cool. And at the very early stages of your garden, you don't have a lot of foliage in that so that they're not utilizing a lot of water. As your plants grow, they will need a little bit more water. They have to have foliage to absorb, to pull the water, to pull the water out of the soil. You water little plants too much, you're going to damp them off. You're better off to keep them just not bone dry, but keep them a little on the dry side. make those roots reach down for the moisture, and then as the plant grows or the trees leaf out and get more foliage in that, then increase your water a little bit as it goes.
What's the best way to water a garden? And I'm not trying to be facetious. Is it with a hose and a kind of a sprayer, or is it with maybe some little tubes or corrugates? What's the best way?
Well, I'm a little old-fashioned, Zeb, as everybody knows, and I like to see the ground irrigation. I like to see the little corrugates. Run the water, let it soak down good. You get a deeper watering. Your plant's roots go down deeper. Sprinkling is fine, but it also has a problem of when the foliage gets heavy, it can bring up fungus in your plants because of the moisture and the humidity that stay in the plant and don't dry out.
Okay.
Ground watering, you can get your fertilizers to them better. Your plants are just healthier and stronger because those roots follow that water down. They get a deeper root system, and you don't have to water as often because you are doing a deep saturation and not just watering the top inch or two. That's what gets a lot of people into trouble with them.
Okay. Now, if they have questions about how to do this, the good old-fashioned way, can they call you and get information?
Sure. Yeah, we can help them with that. And gated pipe is one of the best and one of the easiest ways of doing it. Take PVC pipe and have little holes, to where you can cover the holes. I don't know if you've ever seen gated pipe.
Oh, yeah.
They have little slots,
Yep. Yep.
And that's just awesome. You pressure that little bit of main line up, open your little slots, it runs down your corn rows and leaves your potatoes alone because that isn't open, and those kind of things. But you can do that, well, like I say, with the old-fashioned corrugates, too. But if you're running it with a hose, you can do the same thing and water individual. You can set up a solid set system with hoses and just run that trickle of water down the rows that you want watered and not the ones you don't want watered.
Let me tell you something, Miss Vicki, when it comes to irrigating. Of course, the gated pipe for me and not the hand tubes. I never was any good at setting those.
I never could either, Zeb. My husband could set them just one pump and drop them, and I'm still back there with that, and I'm like, he'd always tell me, he said, well, just suck on the end of it. And I'm like, if you think I'm going to pull that dirty water, no way. It just ain't happening. I said, nope, I'll go back and get my horse and go look at my cows. I'm done.
I never will forget when I set 3 in a row one time. I was ready for a party.
Yeah, that's why with me and these guys with these 6-inch tubes that can just one pump and drop them. And I'm like,
yeah,
how do you do these things, But, yeah, I was never real good at that tube thing, but I was never a farmer as a kid either. I was brought up on a ranch, so we didn't have tubes. We just opened up a head gate and said, let her rip.
There you go. Hey, what about pruning? Now, I did get a couple of emails last week about pruning, and people said, well, I wish she'd explain that a little bit more, how much to cut off, what not to cut off, what to do, that type of thing. Can you give us kind of a general course in pruning?
It's getting a little late on pruning trees, other than if you're taking small branches. If you're trying to cut off branches that are in that inch caliper or bigger, it's getting a little late. You can stress your tree. But if you're trimming just the little small branches, the ones that are like 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch diameter, main thing you want to watch for is you don't want any branches that are crossing or touching. Take the smallest and the weakest one off if they're touching one another, or crossing, crisscrossing. You always want to leave the strongest branch. Take the weak branches off. Have your branches setting at odd angles. Don't cut them to where they have. If there's a perfect V in a branch and you've got 2 branches coming off in a perfect V, take one out. Because if it's a fruit tree, that'll split your branch, split your tree down.
Oh, okay. Now,
your branches are coming off at angles. Like there's a couple of inches between branches coming off a main branch.
Okay. And that's the same not only with trees, but also like in bushes, lilac bushes and that type of thing?
Well, that kind of thing. Just remember, wherever you cut a branch, that's where it's going to send out new growth. So if you just cut the ends off, you're going to get that spider growth, which is a whole bunch of little tiny branches coming off, which don't do anybody any good.
Okay.
So if you're pruning, take those branches down to a main branch and cut them at the main branch. Thin your trees that way.
Okay. Now, this next question, I don't have a clue as to what it means. That shows how much in the dark I am. You can probably understand this. I can't. What to do with tulips and daffodils after they bloom? I'm going to turn it over to you because I'm stumped.
Okay. Tulips and daffodils are something that you want to, if you possibly can, you want to let them turn yellow and die down before you cut them off. Because if you cut them off when they're really green, that weakens the bulb a little bit. You need to have them have all of that energy back in the bulb. And so that's why you let them die down. Unfortunately, they become kind of ugly, and most people want them out of there and trimmed off so they can plant something else. But it's best to let them die down, turn yellow, and get pretty much yellowed all the way down. Then cut them off at ground level, or dig them if that's what you're going to do, and store them, and then plant what you're going to do, and then replant in the fall. But if you're leaving them in, wait until they die down, cut them off ground level, right down next to the ground, and then go ahead and plant in around them.
Okay. Real quick question, last one for the day. This person wrote in and said, what about Roundup around my yard and near the flower beds, or is there a hazard of having an oops and killing a lot of my lawn?
There's always an oops with Roundup. It's called a wind. It's called a light breeze. It's called walking in it with your feet and then, touching other things. Roundup will kill anything that is green. It's non-selective. It doesn't care whether it's a lawn, a tree, a shrub, a flower, whatever, a weed. Anything that has green foliage, it will kill if it touches it. You want to be very careful using Roundup. You don't want to have any kind of a breeze going when you're using that. And you don't want to just stand up, unless you're out in an open area where you know it can't drift. You want to keep that nozzle right down to the ground as much as you can. If you're worried about where it's going and that, you can take and put like a little plastic cup or a little Dixie cup over the nozzle part of your sprayer. And then when you spray, you can go along the ground and it will spray in that exact spot.
Okay.
Not everywhere you don't want it to.
All right, well, that answers that. It's time for Vicky's Country Garden Tip of the Week.
All right, we're getting tomatoes in. Everybody's planting their tomatoes and things are starting to grow. The tomatoes are starting to grow. Don't forget to put your calcium on your tomatoes, your yield booster, and that on the tomatoes now so that you don't lose that first crop of tomatoes to the blossom end rot. Because that's very frustrating. Now's the time. If you've got them planted and they're situated in the ground, you need about 4 to 5 applications before they bloom so that the calcium is in the plant and your tomatoes come out healthy and nice.
You've got to have delicious tomatoes to make the entirety of my famous Ozarky sandwiches, remember?
Oh, yes, the Ozarky sandwiches.
You almost forgot, but
I don't have one of those yet.
You chickened out the last time, lady.
It's kind of like me and my bacon-wrapped asparagus that I've never got over there with.
There you go. Hey, listen, what's going on for any specials at Vicky's Country Garden right now?
Well, I'll be honest, we've been hit really hard. We are completely out of baskets right now. We have nothing since Mother's Day. We have no baskets left.
Wow.
We can still do a few custom ones if someone needs something like that done. We can do custom planters and stuff. Got bark and everything in. Just got in an order of fruit trees and that, but they're almost gone, and I'm trying to replace them. So basically, just come in and see what we've got, and we hope we have what you need.
All right. Well, what are the hours you're open now, Vicki?
Okay, we are open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5:30. And Saturday, we're here from 10 to 5. And on Sundays, we are here from 11 to 3.
This is a wonderful lady that knows all about gardening and everything else. I tell you what, Vicky's Country Garden, 185 South, 600 West of Paul. The telephone number, 438-5663. Vicky, you did it again. Great program, very informative. Thank you very much.
Well, thanks, Zeb, for the opportunity to help people.
All right, don't forget, I'll owe you an Ozarky sandwich.
You do owe me an Ozarky sandwich, and we'll have to switch out. I'll bring the asparagus and bacon, and you do the sandwich. How's that?
Sounds good to me.
All right.
Thank you. Take care. God bless. Thank you much.
All right. Thanks, Zeb.
All righty. I love that lady. She does a great job over at Vicky's Country Garden. Right now, it's time for the weather, and the weather brought to you by Scarrows Meats. Hello, Don Scarrow and the crew at 331 North Road, Jerome. Telephone number to call, 324-7657, or you can go to their website and check it out, scarrowsmeats.com. All the delicious meats. I mean, the tri-tip, the hams, all the different bacons and the sausages, the bratwurst. I love bratwurst on sourdough buns with cheese and onions. Oh, it's good. Scarrow's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Right now, here's the weather with Gina.
Enjoy today because we're going to be cooling off this week. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting nice and sunny skies for today. High of about 80, but tonight clouds are going to be rolling in. We are expecting a low of 52. For tomorrow, 20% chance of showers and thunderstorms by the afternoon. Partly sunny skies, high of 68. Winds are going to be picking up out of the west. Gusts as high as 24 miles an hour. Then by Tuesday night, cloudy, gradually becoming partly cloudy with a low of 43. That's a look at your weather for Zeb.
And I appreciate it. Thank you, Gina. Scarrow's Meats brings us the weather this hour, 331 North Road, Jerome. Hello, Don and the crew. Excellent, folks. And, of course, the telephone number to call, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time at Scarrow's Meats. Well, right now we're going to have a new segment on our program, and I'm very, very honored to have the Minidoka Animal Control and Deb Hines on the air, and we're going to call this segment Dog Days. Hello, Deb Hines. How are you?
I'm fine, Mr. Bell. How are you?
Well, I don't know about Mr. Bell, but old Fat Zeb's doing pretty good.
All righty then.
Okay. Listen, tell us a little bit about Minidoka Animal Control and what you do, that type of thing. Give us kind of a background.
Well, we've been doing this I've been doing it for 7 years. But we go out and pick dogs up in the county and take owner surrender dogs and find them homes. What we don't do is euthanize. We are at a 0% euthanization for the last 3 years. But we take them and get them homes.
I think this is...
transport them to other areas and they get homes there.
What kind of a networking, Deb, and you and I have known each other for a long time, but what kind of a networking is available to you to maybe find a home for a dog of a certain type in Montana or Sheridan, Wyoming, or Salt Lake City, Utah? How do you know all this stuff?
We post everything on Facebook, and people look at our Facebook page, and then if I've dealt with people that are looking strictly for herding dogs. They go to Bend, Oregon. Then I have my people in Dillon. They will take just about any breed, specifically small dogs, because they don't, believe it or not, they don't get a lot of Chihuahuas and Terriers up in that area.
Really?
So they want those dogs bad.
Oh.
So they usually go that way. But everything we usually do is on Facebook.
Okay.
Homes and get hooked up with other rescues and everything.
So let's go back to the source a little bit, Deb. I always thought it was really kind of sad and heartbreaking to think you're driving down the road and you see a dog sitting in the barrel pit and you know that maybe the owner dropped him off or something happened. Is this becoming way too much the norm, or is it lessening?
Honestly, it's more the norm than not. People are taking dogs out, dumping them. I've got a little guy in here that I was going to feature today. His name is Darian. He's a German Shepherd cross, and I got the phone call that said a dog's been hit. He's in the borrow pit.
Uh-huh.
We went and picked him up, and I took him to the vet, and the vet said this dog was tied in the back of a pickup. It fell out, and the guy ran over it.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
So anyway, we got him fixed up. He's got a leg that's kind of a bum leg, but it's on the mend. And so I spent, not me personally, but we, spent money to get him taken care of. And he's a sweet little dog. But it's like, why didn't the owner just take him in and take care of him himself.
Absolutely.
That's what I always wonder.
You know, do you see this every day? And for someone like me that's not around it, we've had occasions here at the ranch where people will just drive down the highway and they think nobody's watching, and they'll open the back door and they'll throw like a mother and her pups out into the barrel pit, like you mentioned a moment ago. You know, if somebody gets a license plate, is there any kind of law or legal action that can be taken against these people?
Sometimes it just depends on what it is. Sometimes we can do it and sometimes we can't. It's actually abuse and abandonment. So, yeah, there are laws out there, and there are state laws out there about that. The trick is getting them enforced.
I see.
I know here I've had people bring puppies in a stinking box, and that's how they found them out in the middle of the desert.
Oh, my goodness sakes. Well, you know, let's talk a little bit about when they come into your operation over there at Minidoka Animal Control. What's the procedure? Do you try to find maybe if they're a runaway or something, and do you try to find the owner, or what happens?
Yeah, first of all, I scan for a chip, because if they've got a chip, then I've got a really good chance of finding the home. And then, obviously, quite honestly, we give them all their vaccinations except rabies right off the bat. I don't even wait. Then we post them on the Internet, and I sit on them for 5 days and wait for the owner to contact me.
Okay.
That's how long I keep them. And after 5 days, if I haven't heard from an owner, then I move them to the adopt list.
Well, all of that love and that concern, that's got to cost a little time and money. I mean, how do you foot the bill to take care of all these dogs?
Praise the Lord, we get good donations, and that's how we do it. We get a lot of food donations, and I get, cash donations. But this community, thank the Lord, seriously, Zeb has stepped up and helped us immensely. I do have a big rescue from up north, and these people have helped me with a lot of stuff over the last 3 or 4 years. They've bought equipment and stuff for us if we need it and that kind of thing. But, yeah, if it weren't for the people helping, we'd be in a world of hurt. And
Absolutely.
I do have to euthanize dogs, and that kills me because, these are good dogs.
Yep.
I don't want to have to kill them just because.
Absolutely.
And that's part of the deal I've got here is I will not euthanize unless they don't have any quality of life.
Deb, let me ask you this. If they come in and they're healthy as opposed to coming in and they've been in an accident or they're injured, what are the facilities like over there at Minidoka Animal Control? That cow means we have a call, but go ahead and answer that question first, if you would.
Okay. We've got a big area out in the back. We've got almost 30 kennels. So they each have a kennel. We feed and and we have a yard for them to run in. So we basically treat them like they're our dogs. Take them, make sure they're healthy, feed and water, let them run and play, and do the best we can with them.
Okay. Now we've got a caller with a question, and I'll take that caller real quick. Caller, good morning. You're on the air, please.
Yes, I would just like to know where you are located at. That is all. I'll listen off the air. Thank you.
Okay. Deb, give the directions, if you would, please.
Okay, if they GPS it, they need to put it in as 50 West, 200 South.
50 West, 200 South.
A mile and a half east of the Rupert Animal Clinic.
Okay. Now, what about the location?
Behind his clinic.
Okay. What about the, I'm glad that caller called because I was going to end with that, but I want to ask you, what about seeing the dogs to see if they'll fit with the family members? Give us a little synopsis as to what you do and how you do it.
Okay, well, we have people schedule appointments. They tell me what they want to look at. We get the dog. I've got a huge front yard. So we just let them take the dog, walk it, play with it. If it doesn't work, we go get them another one. When that dog and that person fits, and you can see it with the dog first, and they want to take it home, they take it home. And then I schedule their spay or neuter or whatever, and we get all that done.
Okay, now, we've only got a couple of minutes left, and you've got a couple of pooches that you'd like to tell the audience about. Go ahead.
Well, other than Darian, I got me a little black lab cross Well, let me be yeah, he is. He's little. Just kind of a little pup. He's only maybe a year old. He's a sweetheart, and he's young enough that he needs to be, just taken into a home and trained.
Okay. And if they want to come by and see the dog... I'm sorry, we have a little delay here, Deb. I apologize. If they want to come by and see the dogs, can you give us the best times and or a telephone number to call?
Yeah, if they'll just call 208-438-2200 and let us know what time they want to come in, we'll put them on the schedule, and I'll get an idea about what they're looking for, and then we'll get those particular dogs moved to the front, and that way when they get here, we're ready for them.
Oh, it sounds great. I can tell by the sound of your voice that you are really committed to the safety and the home atmosphere for these dogs, and I commend you for that, Deb. I've known you for a long time. You're an animal lover, and it shows.
Well, thanks, Zeb. Oh, yeah, these are mine. These babies are all mine.
Well, now, if any other questions, the number 438-2200, and, of course, that's Minidoka Animal Control, Deb Hines. And next Monday, we're going to feature some more dogs, and we urge people to really consider their situation, and maybe they could be the new owners and proud owners of a brand-new puppy dog, right?
Right. I'll be more than happy to help them.
All right, Deb, listen, God bless. Thanks for being on Dog Days, sponsored by Minidoka Animal Control. Deb Hines, thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you, Zeb. Same to you. Bye-bye.
All right, take care. That was interesting, and I learned a lot, and we're going to have that on every Monday for the next couple of months, and talking to Deb over there at Minidoka Animal Control. We're going to wrap it up. I mean, we're right at the very end of the rope. I got a hold of the knot right now, and I understand that my good friend George Mass is in the hospital, and I want to wish him the very best, and I understand he's going to have surgery around noon today. George, you old son of a gun, heal up fast. Get out of that hospital. And we'll be back tomorrow. We always end the program by saying the way things were or the way things ought to be. And the 4 words that mean the most to us: in God we trust. God bless you and your family. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 8:06.